So the great thing about the GC2 simulator is it's still a little bit wintry outside, but I can play golf in a t-shirt and I can spend a nice couple of hours playing St Andrews. But we're only 51 days away from the US Masters as I speak, and that's when the golfing season really sort of kicks in. So what I want to do is build a series on the basics. And the basics are the foundation stone of your success. It's a little phrase of mine, 90% of swing faults start at the address position, and the other 10% start at the address position as well. So it's very, very important. Now, the greatest player on record, assuming Tiger doesn't get another 4, is the great Jack Nicklaus, with all his majors. His boyhood coach was a renowned instructor called Mr. Jack Grout. And Jack, in his late teens and early 20s, when he started to come through and win major events, he would go back in January, probably snow on the ground, and say to Mr. Grout, "Mr. Grout, give me a lesson as though I were a beginner." And they would go out and they would do just that. They would check the alignment of the blade and the shaft, the ball position, the grip, the shoulders, the hips, and so on, and go right through. So if the greatest player in the world majors on the basics and the building of his game, then how much more important is it for us lesser mortals? All right, so I've got a 6-iron here, and I just want to reiterate that when you see a good player hit a shot, he's actually only doing 3 disciplines. He's preparing, he's making a backswing, which is a creation of power, and he's making a downswing. So I'm going to go on to the detail in a minute, but let's not just forget the overview. The overview is this: when we want to hit a shot, we address the ball with good grip and good posture, we create power, and then we hit the shot. For those of you who drive a car, you probably drive a car on 3 pedals and a wheel. So does the World Rally Champion. He's just quicker and better at it. So, you as a golfer, even as a novice, you're setting up, you're swinging back and you're swinging through. And what I want to emphasize is that you have to understand the function. If you're driving the car thinking that's pedal A, B and C, C goes down as A comes back up and B and C return together, if you forget that sequence, you're finished. But if you know that the brake stops the car and the accelerator makes it go quicker and the clutch separates the engine from the wheels, then the function leads you to the right technique. Most of us, when we play golf, we're always acquiring new information from DVDs, people like myself who coach for a living, magazines. We get lots of input and we're in acquisition mode. What I want to impress upon you in this session is that I want to get you into perfecting mode. I want you to take what you've got and get better at it. I don't want to load you up with more stuff. So, I will give you information, we can't help it. I have to impart some information to you. But can we, at the start of the season, as spring is in the air, getting ready for the new season, can I just get us back to basics, that we're doing 3 things well? We're setting up, we're swinging back, and we're swinging through. In other words, we're preparing for the shot, we're creating power for the shot, and then we're delivering the power in the form of a shot. So those are the 3 things. That will never go away from putt to chip to mid-iron to driver. It's the same basic principles. However, the finer detail changes. So, Nicklaus was meticulous in his pre-shot routine. Some do it slowly, some do it quickly. But I can tell you what, every time you see a good player make a backswing, there's no doubt what they're doing. They're creating power. Having created the power, they then hit the shot. I mistimed that a little bit, but it's still got on the front edge of the green. So, the golf swing lasts about 1.8 seconds. You can't think about too much in that time. You have to do your thinking in the pre-shot routine. One of the phrases you'll know from industry is the SOP, your standard operating procedure. That's what they do in the military. They use an SOP, standard operating procedure, or in golfing terms, your pre-shot routine. And again, one of my favourite pre-shot routine stories involves Mr. Nicklaus and Peter Oosterhuis. Peter Oosterhuis won 4 Order of Merits in Europe in a row. That was later surpassed by Colin Montgomery. But Oosterhuis in the early 70s was a world-class player. And he played with Mr. Nicklaus, and as they came off the 72nd hole, Jack turned to Peter and said, "Peter, do you mind if I make a comment?" And said, "No, Jack, what is it?" He said, "I've never played with a player of your quality who takes 10 seconds over some shots and 90 seconds over another. Just standardise it. Just make it the same. and 6 weeks later, Usti won the Canadian Open, which is the 5th major at the time. So the point being, if you practice and set up inconsistently, no surprise that you swing inconsistently and therefore hit inconsistent shots. By standardising your pre-shot routine, forming a habit, then that opens the doorway to consistent movement. And there's no one better than that than Nicklaus himself. So, the premise of this first section is very simply that we're going to prepare well, and as we perfect our preparation, that opens the doorway to a much better backswing. So that was lesson 69 part 1. We'll see you next time.